Hello, and welcome back to another YouTube video. So, I just started the newest Skyward book, Defiant, by Brandon Sanderson. And I wanted to talk about something with the beginning of the book that has really bothered me. And I want to explain why it's been bothering me. So, I read Skyward 1, 2, and 3. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to read Skyward Book 4. It just came out. You know what? It's not my favorite series that Sanderson's written, but it's fine, it's good. So I started reading it, and I was immediately confused. I have a pretty good memory of what happened in the last book. I actually liked Satanic quite a bit. I thought it was my favorite of the 3 books, actually. And so I was looking forward to this new book. But nothing made sense immediately. Because this isn't book 4, this is like book 5. And that just really frustrates me. So I knew that 4 novellas came out in the Skyward flight. I was aware of that, but I didn't want to buy them at the time because they were being released on Audible, and they were only like 4 or 5 hours each. I didn't want to spend an Audible credit on a book that was only 4 hours. It's not something I like to do. So I figured I'll just leave those alone. I figured this wouldn't be a big issue. Maybe I'd come back later. It's on my TBR. Well, it was on my TBR. I read Dawn Shard after I read Rhythm of War, not a big deal. I read Edge Dancer after Oathbringer, not a big deal. So I figured novellas, they're there as a side thing, you can read them, and it gives more context to what's going on a little bit, and it fleshes out the world. Not in the case for Skyward, though. This is an entire another book that I have missed, and it was not explained whatsoever that I had to read Skyward Flight to understand what was happening in Book 4 of Skyward. This is especially jarring since these novellas weren't even written by Sanderson himself, so I thought I had even more of a distance between them as far as important events in relation to this next book coming out. So, the very first chapter just info dumps everything that happened in the novellas in just big blocky paragraphs that says, this character did this, this, and this. This character did this, this, and this. This character did this, this, and this. Oh, and now these people are here because of this. Alright? And this happened over here. It's really, really bad how it's been set up. And if you've read Skyward Flight, maybe it is fine. But I haven't read Skyward Flight. This was a terrible opening for this book. I am so disappointed by this opening. And it makes me really sad because it has ruined me going back and reading those novellas. If you have a book 1, a book 2, and a book 3, you should be able to read book 4 right afterwards without having an issue. That's just my opinion. And maybe I'm a grouch, but I'm irritated by this. And I'm even more so irritated because this isolates the actual target demographic. This is a young adult series. I'm a teacher. I don't have statistics, but I do have experience that tells me that young adults do not listen to audiobooks at the same rate as adults from the age of 19 to 25. When I go to a high school, they're picking up books from the library. They don't have a disposable income for Audible credits. So this even more so isolates the people that this book is supposed to be targeted towards. And that really rubs me the wrong way. I think this is a really frustrating path for the Sanderson books to be going down. I saw this a bit as well when I read Yumi the Nightmare Painter and The Sunlit Man. I mentioned in my Sunlit Man review that I think that the book was amazing, but that it would be significantly worse if you hadn't read Stormlight. And now I'm a bit worried that that's the route that Sanderson's going down, where you have to have read every single thing for anything to make any sense. The ending of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I felt the exact same way. It just doesn't work unless you have read a bunch of other Cosmere books. It just is a big block of information that doesn't really make sense. But I was a bit more forgiving with those 2 books because they were targeted towards a demographic that had read all of Cosmere. They were targeted towards superfans who invested in the Kickstarter. So that was a bit more forgiving for me than this, which completely ignores the target demographic and ruins the experience for them. I think this is a really egregious mistake on Sanderson's part, and it's one of the worst things I've ever seen him do. He's usually really smart about his marketing, and I don't think he was in this case. I think this was very poorly done. I will still read the rest of Defiant, and maybe I'll drop a review here if I'm feeling good about it. I don't really like to make reviews about things or talk about things that are negative. I don't want this channel to be a negative place, but I also feel like this is something that people should know before going into Defiant. That you need to have read these Skyward Flight novellas before you read this book. Otherwise, it's gonna be a bit ruined. So I felt it was important. That's my video. I didn't script this. I didn't do a whole lot of editing. I just wanted to talk about it before people started reading the book. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening. In the future, I usually keep it in a much more upbeat, positive attitude. I apologize if I seem a little annoyed right now. But subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I've got a lot of videos coming up, so stay tuned. Goodbye.